What's up, everybody? Welcome to Make Things Tiny. My name is Mick, and today I'm talking to Devon. Devon is the creator of the Pacific Bin, a massive shipping container build that you can check out on their YouTube channel. Today, they're going to talk about their tiny house build, Cedar Hollow. So I'm really excited for you guys to learn from Devon. Devon has a lot of really great experience doing a lot of things themselves too. So before we jump into the video, if you're new to the channel, please take a moment to subscribe. It really helps me out. There's a subscribe button at the bottom of your screen. It helps grow the channel. It helps build up the community that I'm trying to create here for people who are interested in anything related to tiny homes. And if you take a second to tap that notification bell, you'll find out when I drop new videos. I drop new videos every single week. All right, let's jump right into this conversation. All right, so I'm here today with Devon. Devon is the creator of the Pacific Bin, fellow content creator here on YouTube. We've also got another Airbnb going on now too. Thank you so much for being on the channel. I just wanted to see if you could take a few minutes and just talk to us a little bit about sort of your background, what made you decide to go into tiny houses and, Cedar Hollow in particular.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to be here. So like you mentioned, my name is Devon Loerop. I built the Pacific Bin back in 2022, which ended up just exploding and being a massive container home on the internet. Grew to be the largest short-term rental from like a follower perspective
Mhm.
in the world. So yeah, kind of wild little stint there. But yeah, I built the Pacific Bin in 2022, and then that rolled into me just wanting to learn as much as possible, which turned into a tiny home build, which sort of played into my master plan for the property. I
Mhm.
purchased just under 4 acres. So I have the Pacific Bin like located in the front of the lot, and then the Cedar Hollow. It's located in like the northeast corner. So I have plans to build one more unit on that property, and then that property will pretty much be maxed out. But yeah, so that's my rough big picture overview.
Mhm. That's awesome. I think that's great. It's cool that so they're not too. How far apart are the two different rentals then? Like how far apart is Cedar Hollow from Pacific Bin?
Yeah, so that's definitely one thing when considering building short-term rentals. I
Mhm.
made sure like secluded aspect of each home is really really important, because when people go book a getaway, you don't want to be right next. You don't want to be in like track homes, like 5 homes
Right.
to each other. So there's about 600-700 feet between the homes, and in the winter you can barely see through the forest where one of the homes are. Like you can get a tiny little glimpse, but you wouldn't even really be able. Most guests can't even tell that there's another home back there. And in the summertime, when all the forest growth grows back in,
Mhm.
it's you can't even see 40-50 feet through the forest.
Okay.
So yeah, definitely when I was designing for short-term rentals,
Mhm.
experience is what it's all about, and you have to think down to every last little aspect. Like I made sure that there's two separate driveways so that no one's going down the same driveway and like seeing someone go back and forth from the Cedar Hollow as they're staying at the bin. Like
Right. Yeah.
it's a total. It feels like its own property essentially.
That's cool.
So
That's great that you took the time to think about that too. I'm assuming plenty of people that do short-term rentals maybe don't take the time to think about that, like how it's going to look from the person's perspective that's in your property. So I think that's pretty cool. I think you're in like a really great part of the country for it too, because you do have so many trees. Being up in Washington, I feel
yeah,
like if you were in an area where it's just like completely flat and there weren't a lot of trees or like something like that, maybe it'd be a little bit harder. So you do have like good like tree coverage from what I can see when you like show like everything through like the videos and stuff. So I think that's like a good location too.
as cool as the forest is and as awesome as it looks when you're staying in there, and
Yep.
it's just these moss covered massive old growth cedars that the homes are just tucked in between. It is a nightmare to build between. I've been telling my girlfriend, I'm like, we're building in the desert next time. This is like dealing with all these trees is a nightmare. Not only from like a maintenance perspective, I'm
Mhm.
always like I'm out there probably like every week or every other week with a leaf blower, just blowing down the driveways. Like winter time, the winds we get in the winter are terrifying. But I've got just for the sake of like branches coming and trees falling and smacking the homes. Actually, this past winter, I even had one tree fall. It was an 8-inch tree. It hit the Pacific Bin,
Mhm.
but fortunately, it's made out of shipping containers, and that thing is
Yeah.
like it is invincible. I couldn't even tell where the tree hit the home because it didn't make didn't do anything. So I guess that's one upside of building with shipping containers.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, it could take a few hits. I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's pretty solid.
Yeah,
That's a good
yeah.
one. Yeah.
So
I know that you've done like a lot of the build for both properties yourself. Like, can you talk a little about like kind of like the pros and cons of doing it yourself for like potential DIYers that are watching?
yeah, so at first it was, I mean, it still is daunting every time I jump into
Mhm.
a new build, tackling like 90% of it myself. But I went into it with the mindset of like, hey, like you gotta start somewhere. And I really wanted to just learn as much as possible about this whole build process, what it looks like from the permitting, like construction to final furnish design, all those aspects. So with the Pacific Bin, I handled probably 90% of the entire build, all the way from the design. Obviously, I had to bring in engineers and architects to put those final drawings that are issued to the state because you need licensed architects and engineers stamps on those drawings. But then from there, I did everything from stacking the containers, hired on a concrete sub because there's a lot of overhead involved with that. Um, and then obviously I had to hire in an electrician and plumber, but everything else besides that, I handled pretty much myself. I did all the welding, I did all the framing, just everything throughout those builds. So, and I guess the main point of trying to tackle as much myself is, I guess, one, I was extremely cash strapped, and I'm like, hey, if I'm gonna make this happen in my mid 20s, I gotta tackle a lot of this myself, and it's
Yeah.
been paying off massively because I had a handful of I'm friends with a handful of builders, and they quoted what it would take to build a 1,600 square foot home on my property with all the clearing, the driveway, bringing utilities, and all that stuff in, and it was pushing $1 million,
Oh
and
wow. Okay.
I was able to build the whole home for around $550,000.
Mhm.
So that was one of the huge selling points for me for tackling a lot of the build myself. And also, if you do it once yourself and you know everything that goes into it, in future builds, if you're not doing it all yourself, you'll know what a fair number is and whether or not someone's trying to rip you off. So that, like, it not only saves you money, but you learn so much. You know if you're getting a deal or a steal, like, yeah. So that's kind of my thought with tackling the build myself.
Mhm.
So Cedar Hollow was just sort of just building on that mindset. Because so for those of you that don't know on here, Cedar Hollow is a 450 square foot tiny home with 1,000 square foot deck around. It's got a sauna, hot tub, cold plunge. Just it's loaded out with all the amenities. But I did that entire build, like everything excluding the electrical wiring. I did everything myself, all the plumbing, installation, framing, everything else excluding the electric or doing all the wiring. And that was another just huge learning curve, learning how to frame, like learning how to build to code, even though we don't need under that square footage, you don't
Mhm.
need permits in Washington for that size build. Well, I guess I shouldn't say in Washington. It depends what area of Washington you're in, but my area did not require that. So I was able to sort of take that as another learning experience to dive into learning conventional construction, I guess.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was the thought behind tackling the builds myself.
No, it makes sense. I feel like the cost saving part maybe appeals to a lot of people because it is expensive when you hire someone out. And you're right, like you don't know if they're giving you a good quote or if they're trying to like take advantage of you. But then also what you learned, that's really amazing too because you can do it yourself and then you can continue to do it over and over again. But you can also teach other people, so it also gives you an opportunity to
Yeah,
show other people um what is possible, which I know you've done a lot with some of your videos with like the plans that you have, you like giving at people access to that, or like I know that like in the kitchen breakdown you just did where like you give them all of the information on like what what you put into it. So I think you're sort of like encouraging people to do it themselves, which I think is great, because then it saves them money and they can learn a really important skill, especially with like cost saving when you're doing a short-term rental too. I'm assuming like the more you can sort of like shave off your overall cost, the better in the long run.
Yeah, for sure. And that was sort of my approach with YouTube too, is
Mhm.
when I would watch YouTube videos on like how am I building this tiny home, or how do I build container homes? The cost transparency on YouTube just didn't seem to be there, or it would
Mhm.
be like, oh yeah, this costs like $10,000, and then they just move on to the next point. I'm like, what? Like, what goes into that $10,000?
Right. Yeah.
So I, I I guess the niche I'm trying to lean into in YouTube is building cool, unique things that catch people's attention, but then give full cost transparency. Like the Pacific Bins cost breakdown, I feel like should be the standard template for people doing cost breakdown
Mhm.
videos, because I went through every single credit card statement and every single bank statement I had throughout the whole bill, itemized every single line, so someone can go to my video and understand exactly what goes into a new construction build.
Yeah.
So, and even from like a schedule perspective, it breaks down exactly how you go about scheduling your project. So, yeah, I'm trying to figure out what full transparency looks like, and honestly just being like honest and open is there's no harm in that. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of my approach with YouTube.
Yeah, I appreciate it too because I think that, YouTube it still has this place where like people go because they want to see something that's like flashy and like really wows them. But I think with the place where everyone's at, like with the economy and like with housing and stuff, like people really are trying to learn as much as they can. So I think that you're right. Like because I have seen other videos, like the transparency really isn't there because I think they want like the initial like click, like I'll click on the video because it says I'm going to tell you the breakdown, or like even for some of the ones I've seen where people are like, oh, this is how much YouTube's paid me. Like you'll click on it and then it's like 20 minutes of them just talking about something else and they don't actually ever tell you how much they
Yeah,
got paid. So I think, which is a bummer if you really do want to learn that stuff. So I think it's great that you're taking the opportunity that you have on your platform to actually show people like this is what it costs, because then they can prepare, right? I think the planning piece is what keeps some people from making that jump. Is like I have no idea how much money it's going to cost me to
yeah,
build this, or like I don't know what it's going to cost to put a kitchen in and stuff like that. So I think that's a great piece to what you're doing. In addition to the fact that you are showing things that are really beautiful and they're high end and they're well put together. So I
yeah,
think that but you know the breakdown. I think that's because you're taking the time to do it
yeah.
yourself too.
And
So.
that's just it. When so many people just hire a contractor, they
Mhm.
just have a fixed dollar figure for something, and the contractor is the one who's actually seeing each of the line items that populate that rent. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. With your YouTube channel, which is great, by the way, I love it. What has your experience been like? Because you are a content creator, so like you are a YouTuber, but you have these Airbnbs, but you put them on the channel. What's that been like to have both of those worlds kind of come together? Because I know that that's not everyone's approach to YouTube. Everyone does it differently.
Yeah, for sure. So I've always wanted to be like a YouTuber, right? Like
Mhm.
years ago, I was like, oh, this would be so fun to be a YouTuber. And it's honestly weird hearing you say like, oh yeah, you're like a YouTuber,
Yeah.
content creator, because I've been working towards that for so long, and
Mhm.
I don't know what the threshold is with subscribers, or once you start making videos, that's when you are one. But I don't know, it's kind of cool to hear.
Mhm.
But like you're saying, it is almost like worlds colliding, because when I was at the tail end of college, I started getting into filmmaking, and just I would bomb all around Michigan. That's where I went to school, and take photos at sunsets and start taking little short videos with my friends and everything. And then getting out of school, I'm like, oh, I just want to travel, travel, travel. And I'm like, well, I could live somewhere where I can go out on a weekend and go to some crazy mountain range, go to the beach, go to the ocean, like have all sorts of options. So I moved to Washington right after school, and that sort of kicked off me doing wedding filming, just all sorts of filming real estate, just everything across the board. Same deal, just trying to learn as much as possible. Um, but with the caveat of I want to get into real estate at some point.
Hmm.
And here in Washington, properties are just, you can't get into like even a 50-year-old home for under 800,
Yeah.
$900,000 out here. It's just totally unattainable for someone that's young and hustling and trying to make it. And I didn't want to sign on for a 30-year mortgage. So I was able to sock up just enough cash to get a private line of credit through a private lender
Hmm.
and kick off what is the Pacific Bin. And I guess just filming that along the way was a cool way for me to not only document that story, but also just provide a lot of value for people watching these videos. So yeah, I it's definitely cool seeing these two worlds collide, and it's in a cool little spot, and it's something that I really do love. Like before we hopped on this interview, you were mentioning it's something you really enjoy, and this is
Hmm.
definitely something um, I really enjoy. I love building. I love meeting all sorts of new people, and if I'm able to provide my construction plans to people and provide them value at an insane discount, like the Pacific Bins plans cost me over $13,000, and that's just because there's so many little details that go into container homes. It's a custom built, so
Yeah.
there's nothing just standard about it. So we spent, I don't know how many hours going through those plans, and I sell them for like $3,500, so it's a fraction of the cost. So yeah, I'm gonna be listing the Cedar Hollow's plans here in a little bit too. For on the launch video, they'll actually be $500, which I just paid the check the other day for $8,000. So
Well,
it's crazy value,
yeah.
especially if people are looking into getting into tiny homes, because
Yeah.
I built the thing to code. The thing's getting designed to code, especially
Yeah.
code in Washington. So if it can be built in Washington, you can build it anywhere else
Hmm.
because our building codes are pretty
That's
good.
awesome. I think that's really cool that you're willing to give the plans out too, and at such a discounted rate. And I think, like, going back to what you said, like, it shows that it's something that you're really passionate about. I think that the thing that keeps people, watching a video is the person's like presence. I think people don't realize that it's not just about having flashy content. It's also about, like, you're kind of selling it in a way. Like, you have to actually care about what you're talking about, and like really sort of like be willing to be open and honest and be vulnerable, which is kind of scary. But I think that comes through in all of your videos. Like, you're passionate about the Pacific Bend, you're passionate about Cedar Hollow, like you're passionate about
Appreciate
just building, and also just, and like educating people too. Like, I feel like I learn a lot when I watch your videos, and like, you don't always learn something when you watch someone's video. So I think that is an important piece for people to sort of think about, like, how can I present this in a way where like someone's going to really learn something from it? Because you don't have a ton of time to capture your audience, as you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to take as much notes from Mr. Beast without full on copying him as possible.
Yeah. No, seriously, I think like that's like, yeah, like I've read, books on the YouTube algorithm and stuff like that, but yeah, for sure Mr. Beast is the one that I think we all would benefit from looking to, just the way that, he's just meticulous in how he approaches everything, from
And
even the title of the video to like the thumbnail, like everything he does is just to perfection. So
yeah. And I think like you were just saying too, one of the biggest points there is like, yeah, you can have the right thumbnail, title, like the video can be sequenced correctly, but
Mhm.
the biggest thing behind it is authenticity and passion. And you can tell in every one of his videos, he's being his authentic self. Like if you
Yeah.
watch his hour-long interviews, he's kind of the same person. I mean, obviously,
Mhm.
you got to be a little more showy for YouTube, but he's an
Yeah.
authentic dude doing something he loves, and that's sort of what I'm striving to do on my end as well. Be
Yeah.
authentic, be real, engage with amazing people from all across the world, and just have fun.
Yeah. No, I think if you're having fun, that makes it a lot easier to do, because it is a lot of work. It does take a lot of like patience, and you do mess up a lot.
Yeah,
So
you gotta fail. It's a part of it. There's so many people. This is one thing that bugs the crap out of me is people that sit on the sidelines for so many years and are like, I'm waiting for a market drop so I can get in. I'm waiting for this, that, like cash to be in the right spot. Like, yes, you got to be calculated, but also when you're even like remotely prepared, do it. Like, just
yeah,
go for it. You're gonna fail. You just got to get through it and just get it done. It'll happen. Even if you
that's
have to course correct a little bit along the way. It will happen, and just know that that's part of the journey.
No, it's a good one. I feel like it's something I have to remember too, because I can be a bit of a perfectionist. But I think being in like doing YouTube like kind of like shakes that out of you a bit because you don't really have a choice. Like you have to just put out the content because
Yeah,
otherwise you don't get any data. Like you get no information if you don't put out the videos. So I
true.
think that it's helped me to just be like, okay, if I don't love this one or if this one doesn't do as well as I want, like I can learn from it and make another one. So that part's really nice. If you don't like one video, you can just make another one. Just put
It's
it
so
up there.
true. I know I posted my kitchen video last week, and it was a full 10 out of 10. I'm like, well, crap. It was like worst video in months. I'm like, okay, that sucks. Like you said, you live and you learn. You can't take it too personal, and
Yeah.
just gotta keep rolling.
Yeah. Well, I've got one last question for you. I was
Yeah.
just wanting to know if you could like just give any advice to someone who like is watching the video and they're like, okay, I'm ready. I want to do it. I'll take the plunge. I'm going to buy a tiny house. I want to turn into a short-term rental. Like what would you say to them?
Yeah, biggest thing, do your due diligence on the front end. Line up your contractors, get tons of different quotes, especially if you're diving into it for the first time and you're not going to be doing as much of it or depending on how much you're doing yourself. If you're doing a lot yourself, do a ton of research on the front end. Really learn each step. You'll be able to save yourself a ton of money doing it yourself. But if you are going to be bringing contractors into it, this world, like the US especially, is very cutthroat right now with
Mhm.
contractors, and there's some people where if they can smell blood and smell that you're fresh to the game, they will rip you off like nobody's business. So get all sorts of quotes, understand all of the scopes involved. Like, I mean, get 4 different quotes from your electrician, your plumber, your HVAC guy, because that will save you so much money down the road. Um, I was kind of subject to that. Well, I guess one item at the Pacific Bin was my HVAC guy. He charged me like $30,000 or something.
Whoa, that's a lot.
Yeah, and I was at the point where I'm just like, I'm exhausted. I just need this done. Like, go for it, whatever. So getting quotes and vetting out all your subcontractors, getting referrals from people who you know, that is a huge one. Like if you can find a plumber through someone you trust and someone you know, and they say, "Hey, I've been working with this guy for years," like go with him. That's definitely the way I would go. Don't hop on Google. Don't just search plumbers in my area.
Yeah.
I ran into that last week with I had I had a water heater go out at the Pacific Bin, and I needed a change between the 10 to 4 check out check in period between guests, and this one company like quoted me over $6,000 for a $1,000 water heater. So ended up finding someone that I knew and was able to make it happen for like 1,500. So oh yeah, that's the biggest advice. Just really do your due diligence on the front end. Make sure your county and all your building restrictions aren't going to inhibit you from building or aren't going to get you in a tough spot with code and fines or something down the road. So do the math on the front end. Make sure everything checks out. Then just go for it.
Cool. I love that. I think that's really great advice too, because it's worth it to put the time in the beginning and just do it right so that you don't lose a lot of money or, you have to start over and stuff like that too. So that's
Yeah,
great. I appreciate
make sure
you
your
for,
cash
yeah.
flow is going to be in a good spot too, so you can actually fund the thing. There's a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
people that start it and they're like, shoot, this is like they'll budget so fine and be like, well, this is what it's going to be. This is what it's going to be. Just like add 20% to whatever you think it's going to be because it will be more. So
Oh man, that's a good one. 20%. Yeah, I feel like most people would watching this would not think they'd have to add 20% to their budget too, because people do. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are probably strapped for cash right now too, so that's a good one
yeah,
too. And also be okay when it costs more, so it doesn't like you don't feel
yeah,
like it like sort of like wrecks you
yeah,
emotionally every time.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
cool. Well,
great.
this was
Thank you.
awesome. Thank you so much for having me on here. This was fun chatting.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. I know anyone watching it's going to find it super helpful and, links to everything that you're doing will be in the video description. So, yeah, I appreciate you taking the time and happy to have you on the channel in the future as things continue to evolve. So, thanks again.
Yeah, let's chat. There's some cool stuff coming down the line. Here, I actually haven't even announced this on my YouTube channel yet, but I just got my structural plans for a treetop sauna that I'm going to be building in the next couple months. It's going to be a huge sauna, like 35 feet up in the air that looks out over the mountains. So yeah, there's some cool stuff coming down the line.
Awesome. That's awesome. That sounds really awesome. That sounds incredible. So I'm excited to see that one. All right, cool. Thank you.
Cool. Have a good one.
You too. Okay, that was my conversation with Devon. Really appreciate Devon taking the time to talk to us about sort of the pros and cons, their experience sort of like building things, really encouraging the DIY sort of approach to even something as massive as the Pacific Bend, but also for the Cedar Hollow, which is 450 square feet. So it's definitely a smaller build, but still so much to learn, especially with the differences in how you structure builds with tiny houses. So please do take the time to check out their YouTube channel. Links to their channel here, to their Airbnbs, both their short-term rentals as well, in the video description. So go and check it out. Go and stay at the Pacific Bend. Go and stay at Cedar Hollow. Just sort of like experience it for yourself. And again, if you're new to the channel, please take the time to subscribe. It really helps me out a ton. Thank you so much for watching the video. Tap the notification bell so you find out when I drop new videos. I drop new videos every single week. And coming up in the next video, I'm going to talk to someone who is actually building out a tiny house community. So this isn't a video that you want to miss either. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to think tiny. I'll see you guys in the next one.